On my last video, you saw someone say this.
But why is it so hard for us pretty girls to come across a decent guy? It just seems like all the guys, the good guys, always like cuff the plain Jane females.
And on this video, you're going to hear somebody say this shit.
So earlier this year, I ended a relationship and cut off an engagement from a great man. He was a good man. He loved God. He was a praying man. He loved and adored me. He was there for me. He was handsome. He was well educated. He didn't have any kids. He checked all the boxes. But there was still something missing. And I just knew that I could not go through with this marriage. There was just something that did not connect. I felt that there was should have been a connection between he and I in order for me to be his wife. And so I cut off the engagement. And it was so difficult because he was a good man. It's easy when a person is not good. You can justify why you cut things off, but when a person is truly a good person, it's hard to explain. So I found myself trying to explain it to family and friends, and they were asking me a whole bunch of questions that, I could not say, exactly why, other than the fact that I just did not feel the connection. There was something that was not there that I needed to be there in order for this to be my husband. And so I stopped trying to explain it and I just trusted my decision and I went on. But then I got an epiphany and it was just like, have you ever been shoe shopping and you saw a nice pair of shoes and it's like, ooh, I love the color. I love the style. The heel is the right size and it's a reasonable price. Like it's on sale and it's a good shoe. But then when you approach the shoe, you see that it's a size 6 and you need a size 7. Does it take away from the fact that the shoe is a good shoe? Does it take away from the fact that you're getting a great deal for for the quality? Does it take away from the fact that the heel is still the right size? It doesn't matter. All of that still makes the shoe is still good. But if it's not your size, it's not the shoe for you. And so that is what I had to accept. Yes, he was a good man. But what that feeling was is that he was not a great fit for me. It didn't take away from who he was, but it was just confirmation that he was not a good fit for me. And that leads me to say that some of us are trying to force relationships when we know they don't fit. It doesn't mean that the person is not good. It doesn't mean that they are not good-hearted people. It just means that they're not a good fit for you. So free them up. Don't continue to settle for things that you know is going to cause discomfort in the future. Me purchasing a size 6 shoe when I wear a 7 is discomfort. Don't do it.
So when you see somebody say this,
Why is it so hard for us pretty girls to come across a decent guy?
the answer is because you're not a decent person. And if you were a decent person, you would be attracted to the things that decent people do. First of all, the shoe analogy. That's a terrible analogy, and you want to know why? Because if that shoe is the right color, the right design, the heel is right, all of that stuff, even if it's the wrong size, what is a woman going to do? She going to make it work. That's right. She gonna make it work, which is probably what you should have did. See, when you come out and you tell these stories, I'm expecting you to come with a story and tell us, like you're telling us this story like it's a win. I'm expecting you to tell us how you bounced back and you found exactly what you want. But you didn't tell us that. You know what you told us? You described basically Superman. Basically all the characteristics, his character as a person, a great guy. And it wasn't good enough for you. So either it's one of two things. Either you're striving and searching for perfection, or you're scared to commit to that type of person because you know what happens in return. You know what's expected in return. As decent as a person that you want him to be, now the pressure is on you to be just as decent to him. As good of a dude as he is, now you have to be just as good of a woman to him in order for it to make sense and in order for it to match. And that's an extreme amount of pressure to someone who could actually waste a man's time up until it's basically time to get married and then leave him. Instead of checking to see if you really like this dude before you said yes to marrying him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm no fool. When she was listing all of those things, and the fact that she didn't want to answer when she was talking to her friends and family and all of that stuff, that tells me that it was for the shallowest reason, because there was one thing she didn't mention, ladies and gentlemen. One thing she didn't mention: sex. That's the one thing she didn't mention about this dude, that he satisfies her. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you just witnessed is how conversations actually go, where a person, and he had to be perfect in order for her to go down the list of things that she said. He adores her. He's very good to her. He has a good job. He was ready to commit to her. He does everything for her. He treats her very well. All of those things that she said. He has no kids. All of those things. And you walked out the door on him. See, decent people don't do things like that to decent people. You know why? Because those are the things that actually matter. So whatever that one thing is that's missing, and you come and you give that bullshit analysis or that bullshit analogy in order to compare those things, whatever that one thing is, you're going to go find that, but that's all that's going to be there. And if you're anybody who has some type of heart, you're going to miss what you had, ladies and gentlemen. But the fact of the matter is, you're not attracted to men because they're good people. He has to have everything in place first before you are attracted, before you even try to get to know his character. He has to be this and he has to be that. And we love to hear you say, when a man, I got to have a man who got his shit together. Baby, you never start building. Nobody is ever in the perfect place. The richest men in the world are still trying to get better. There's no room for contentment. Which is funny, because we hear so many women say, oh, well, I'm working on myself. When do you ever stop working on yourself? You're supposed to work on yourself until you leave this motherfucker. Till you leave this earth. You're supposed to continuously be working on yourself. So when are you going to pause to add someone in your life, especially this chick and a lot of these other chicks out here who let that dude go? Because they're scared to commit. That's why I giggle. That's why I shake my head. That's why it's funny to me. Because content of his character won't keep him. It won't keep you. And then y'all have the nerve to complain. It'll be that same woman complaining about different situations that she's having after she left this dude. Sometimes you just have to look and pay attention, because there's a lot of women out here who, they may not even say it. It's a lot of women out here who leave that type of dude and then come out and come to you as their friend and fucking tell you the worst story about that person. It just so happens that this chick was actually honest about who the dude was. But she'll come and tell you the worst story and have you believing that it was justified for her leaving, and she just was tired of being in a relationship, or she couldn't live up to the standards of being in a relationship. The relationship that she wanted, she can't live up to those standards. Ain't it amazing how people have taught us how to adapt to the worst shit in the world, but no one taught us how to adapt to the best shit. I'm out. Show?